Good evening. Today is that we have our Design Review Commission it's a special meeting. It is Monday, March 28th, 2024. And I'm now calling the meeting to order, and the time is 6:30. Next on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and Vice Chair Salo, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you could do roll call, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Commissioner Chang is absent today. Commissioner Tu?
Yes.
Thank you. Chair Romo?
Yes, here.
Thank you. Vice Chair Salo?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight's meeting is live stream on cable channel 3 and on our online platforms. To prevent any overlaps in comments, each commissioner will be called upon to speak. First item, public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the Design Review Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda, but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Design Review Commission cannot answer any questions or take any actions until such time as the matter may appear on a future agenda. If you wish to address the Design Review Commission, please fill out a speaker card that is available on the back table. Once completed, kindly submit the card to the recording secretary. Speakers will be called upon the podium one by one. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak. Any interest on public comment?
No public comments at this time, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to item 2, consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the Design Review Commission or public requests a separate discussion. Commissioner Tu, do you have any questions or anything on the consent calendar?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
None, thank you.
Vice Chair Salo?
No, I do not.
So can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, we have a first.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chang, absent. Commissioner Tu?
Yes.
Chair Romo?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the motion passes unanimously with the members present. Next item, number 3, is public hearing. Samantha.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. Thank you for participating and tuning into tonight's Design Review Commission meeting. There are 4 public hearing items tonight, and copies of the agenda and the staff report for the hearing is available on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com, and also by the table by the entrance. And if you wish to speak on an item this evening and are not the project applicant, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording secretary, which is Damien this evening. And as mentioned by the chair, each speaker will be called up one by one. Please write down the item number that you would like to speak on, and speakers will be called up during the public hearing portion of each item. and each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. For each item tonight, staff will provide a summary of the staff report, followed by any presentations from the applicant. Then the public hearing will be open. And after the public comments, the applicant is provided the opportunity to rebut if they choose. And prior to the close of the hearing, the commission may ask questions of the applicant's staff or the city architect. However, once the public hearing is closed, the opportunity for public comment has ended. And so with that, Madam Chair, staff is ready to provide a summary of item A.
Thank you. Item A is 942 Euclid Avenue, planning case number SPR 22-079, site plan review. Marlon.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair and members of the Design Review Commission. The public hearing item before you tonight is for a site plan review to allow for the construction of a second-story addition to an existing single-family home located at 924 Euclid Avenue. Planning case number SPR 22-079. This item was continued from the October 23rd, 2023 Design Review Commission meeting. The subject property measures 7,599 square feet and is currently developed with a 675 square foot single-story, single-family home. The property is located on the east side of South Euclid Avenue between East Grand Avenue to the north and East Fairview Avenue to the south. The project is zoned R1 for single-family residences and has single-family homes directly to the south, west, and to the east of the property. The project before you tonight includes a first and second story addition and a garage conversion, as well as a new 424 square foot garage and 620 square foot ADU in the rear yard. The single family home with the proposed additions and garage conversions will measure a total of 2,245 square feet, 1,543 square feet on the ground floor, and 702 square feet on the second floor. The proposed addition is consistent with the development standards set forth in the municipal code for the R1 zone, including building height, second story setbacks, lot coverage, and floor area ratio. The existing side yard setback is along, the existing side yard setbacks along the north side of the property is inconsistent with the current setback requirements in the R1 zone. However, the existing square footage is consistent with public records indicating that there is no unpermitted construction, and therefore the deficient side yard setback is determined to be non-conforming and can remain. Additionally, the floor area ratio and lot coverage calculations shown on this table do not include the 620 square foot ADU, as section 153.047D of the municipal code states that only areas in excess of 800 square feet, in excess of the 800 square foot threshold shall be counted towards the FAR and lot coverage requirements. The architectural design of the home was reviewed by city staff and the city architect for consistency with the design guidelines for single-family residences. The proposed design exhibits features of a contemporary style home featuring white finished stucco, bronze millguard windows, and a fascia and trim painted in monarch migration color. The main entry will feature a new covered porch, and the existing door will be replaced with a horizontal paneled mahogany door. The area above the main door will feature a clear story window for additional fenestration along the front facade. The garage door will be removed and replaced with 3 vertical windows. The front yard of the project site is currently landscaped with a lawn and a driveway leading to the attached garage. The project proposes to enhance the front yard by planting a new olive tree and new ficus tree, each in 24-inch box sizes. The driveway will be relocated to the southern edge of the property to provide access to the rear yard where the new detached garage will be located. A new 42-inch walkway consisting of permeable pavers will also be installed directly adjacent to the new driveway, leading from the sidewalk to the front door. The inner side of the proposed walkway will be lined with emu bushes. The 2 new planters will also be installed on either side of the entryway, each measuring 2 feet in width. And will be planted with a combination of white sage, agave, roses, lemon balm, parsley, and Japanese anemone. In the rear yard of the property, a Chinese elm is proposed to be removed and replaced with a gravel area and driveway. The north and east perimeter of the property in the rear yard will be lined with a planter featuring 7 new podocarpus trees evenly distributed throughout the planter area. Staff recommends the added condition that the gravel area be reduced and enhanced with live vegetative growth and usable open space. At the October 23rd, 2023 DRC meeting, the Commission considered the project and voted to continue the item, citing the proposed design's incompatibility with the neighborhood, the home being overwhelmingly high with very tall ceilings and a lack of balance and rhythm along the front elevation. The applicant has since provided updated plans attempting to address the DRC's concerns. Changes to the design include a redesign of the ground floor roof form to reduce the vertical massing of the ground floor facade. The applicant has broken up the large front-facing gables, as was originally proposed, and will maintain the existing home's 512 pitch hip roof. The applicant has also provided 2 new gables to create additional articulation along the front facade, as well as a sheltering element above the front porch. The size of the clear-story window located above the front door has also been substantially reduced in height to reduce the appearance of a large visual mass. The project applicant has also provided articulation through the use of horizontal lap siding along the larger of the 2 new front-facing gables, which will be painted to match the fascia and trim found around the home. While the changes create additional rhythm and balance, the height and scale of the proposed second-story addition remain unchanged. To better integrate the home into the neighborhood and make it compatible with the scale of existing homes, staff recommends the reduction of the second-story ceiling height to a maximum height of 8 feet and 6 inches, and a total height to a maximum of 23 feet and 8.5 inches. Section 153.353 of the San Gabriel Municipal Code requires the submittal of a neighborhood analysis of homes within 300-foot radius around the project site. The analysis shall identify 1- and 2-story homes in the neighborhood. The neighborhood analysis identifies 13 properties with 2-story single-family residences within a 300-foot radius. The proposed project was also reviewed for consistency with the general plan. The general plan land use designation for the subject property is low-density residential. The general plan defines this designation as primarily single-family homes on a single parcel. The proposed project is for the construction of a new second-story addition to an existing single-family residence and is consistent with the general plan designation. The project also meets Community Design Goal 10.3 to create designs that live and breathe with San Gabriel's neighborhoods as they themselves live and breathe. The project was reviewed for compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act and was determined to be exempt per guidelines section 15303, class 3 for new construction. On March 7th, 2024, a notice regarding the project was sent to property owners within 300-foot radius of the project site. A notice was also posted on the project site. Tonight's meeting agenda was posted at City Hall, the Post Office, and the Public Library, and was advertised in the March 7th, 2024 edition of the San Gabriel Sun. With that, staff recommends that the Design Review Commission adopt a resolution of the Design Review Commission of the City of San Gabriel approving planning case number SPR 22-079 for a second-story addition to an existing single-family residence at 924 Euclid Avenue, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. That concludes the presentation.
Thank you. At this time, the commissioners can ask staff any clarifying questions. I'll start with Commissioner Tu. Do you have any clarifying questions?
No, I don't have question for staff. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
None for staff, thank you.
Vice Chair Salo?
Yeah, I have one question. The design as proposed today includes staff recommendation of lowering the ceiling height on the second floor?
It does not, no.
Okay, so that would be a condition of approval going forward?
Right, that would just, it's a recommended condition. It's not a requirement that you adopt or make an approval with that recommendation.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear from Ron. Do you have any additional comments on this project, on Euclid?
Well, when it was reviewed by this body a couple months
In
ago, it
October,
had this
yes.
very monumental gable. So I've worked with the applicant to modify that front elevation to create a smaller proportional gable section and a hip section so that there's just more variety and it's not so monumentally powerful. The clear story window above the front door is substantially smaller than it was, and I think they've done a good job.
Great, thank you. Just to clarify, but the outstanding issue is the height on the second floor, correct? For both?
That was my own recommendation.
Okay, that was staff, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right. It is now time for public comment. Anyone from the public want to speak on this item?
No public comment at this time, Madam Chair.
Is the applicant here?
I don't think they're here tonight.
Okay. All right, so since we don't have the applicant and there's no public comment, it is now 6:45. The time for public comment on this item is now closed, and it's up to the commissioners to have our deliberations. Commissioner Tu, I'll start with you.
Yes, I think I do have one clarification question that I look at the rendering on the presentation and that there's a really big trees in the front yard. Was that the existing trees or the replacement trees?
Let me look at the plans.
Because we do see a different rendering in the package showing smaller trees.
The site plan identifies them as replacement trees, the two in the front.
So there would be like 2 replacement trees in the front yard,
Yes.
as this rendering shows, right?
Right. So on the site plan, you'll see in the front yard, there's 2 trees identified as 24-inch box replacement trees.
Okay. I was just confused by the other view that it shows like a gigantic tree in front of the property. Yeah, I think that's okay. I do agree with city architect that the applicant had improved the design per our comments in the last couple meetings. And yeah, I recommend that we get this project approved and move forward. Thank you.
Do you have any comments on that height? Is that as per staff recommendation?
So what is the issue exactly for the height?
So per the previous meeting, there was concerns from this group about the massing of the second story and the overall height. From the previous iteration of this project to the current one, the height itself was not reduced. So that was the basis for that recommendation.
I see. I think the height also has to do with how the building mass was put together. I think the building mass has been break down compared to the previous scheme. It doesn't seem like as overwhelmed as the previous design. I also thought that proposed 24 feet, 4.5, it doesn't seem like too much to ask for, so I don't have any issue for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
No, I think looks much better than before. The height's still not a concern, but not something that would break the deal. That's it.
Thank you. Vice Chair Sala?
The applicant appears to have addressed the comments from the previous meeting in a meaningful way, so I'm prepared to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to bring up the trees. And one of the reasons why I think they show that tree is that they're proposing to build plant a 24-inch ficus tree. The ficus, okay, that's a crepe myrtle. So a crepe myrtle will never grow that big. But the ficus tree is an Indian laurel fig. And those are the trees that you see spanning everywhere. They were planted in the 40s and 50s, and they're everywhere. They break up the sidewalk. They can grow to have a 40-foot crown in height and width. And their root system are also They're very invasive. It's not a good tree to plant in front. So I have a list of trees to work with the city landscape architect. A camphor, Australian willow, carrot wood. There's also a fruitless pear called a calorie pear. I believe that's the way you pronounce it. But those trees fit within our climate area, our zone here in San Gabriel, and they're a better tree. I will never approve a ficus tree, only because they are so bad. They are so bad. In Pasadena, they lifted up sidewalks 3-4 feet. And that's with all these preventative measures. So I think that's a big point for me. I've heard from my commissioners. I was prone to go forward with staff's recommendation on the second floor height. The design does look better, and I think and the angles are a little different, so it's hard to compare with the two images that we have in front of us. But it looks better from what I've seen. But I will go with the majority of the commissioners regarding the height issue. But it does feel a little better. With that, is there someone who'd like to make a motion on this item?
I motion for the approval contingent on the recommended trees on the
Okay.
property.
But leaving the height as the proposed?
I think if our city architect is okay with it, I think a lot of it is the perceived view of the surrounding properties, so that it's not overpowering or cumbersome to the eye. I see a property contiguous to it is a single story. The other one is not, so it kind of blends in with the other one, not with the single story one. But I would encourage when the actual plans are drawn for the engineering to perhaps maybe revisit that in a way. So contingent on that.
So you want them to revisit the height or just leave it as proposed?
I would like for them to revisit the height.
So revisit the height. Okay, so is there a second? And I think we definitely need to look at those two issues, the trees and the height.
Working with the city architect to determine the building height, or how does that to be addressed?
Yeah, in my mind, it would be yes. If the city architect is okay visibly in accordance with the owners and negotiate something, I would be comfortable with that.
And well, he's looking at that. Vice Chair Salo?
I'm fine either way. Ready to approve.
So this is still the old one. Do you have the newer set?
This should be the latest.
No, this has a hip roof here.
Right, yeah. No, I think I grabbed the wrong one from my desk.
Because this is 8 feet, right?
This shows 9.
9 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we have to see, did they change it? Because 9
They-
is quite normal.
I don't think they did, but if you're okay with 9.
Hey, Ron. What's the verdict?
Apparently, we don't have the most current drawing, but the drawing that we have, that we saw, shows a 9-foot plate on the second floor, which is pretty normal. So, in my opinion, it's normal and it's okay.
Okay. And just to reiterate, you're also okay with the balance and the design and how it's been redone?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay, all right. So we have a first and we have a second to readdress the trees, but to leave the height as as presented by the applicant.
Got it. Yep.
So with that, roll call, please.
Commissioner 2,
Yes.
Chair Romo,
Yes?
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Chang is absent, so we have 4 ayes and 1 absent.
Okay, motion passes. We go on to our next project, which is item B, 414 through 420 South San Gabriel Boulevard, planning case number MSP 23-002, Public Art Program applicant San Gabriel Self-Storage Partners, LLC. The presentation tonight will be made by Samantha.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Staff's presentation, staff is going to try to keep it relatively broader. What the commission will see is the detailed presentation that has been put together by the applicant team, and they'll probably present it in better quality than staff. But just to walk the commission through this multi-year project, again, this is at the northeast corner of South San Gabriel Boulevard and Commercial Avenue. This is a C3 property that obtained a plan development overlay approval from the City Council. What you're looking at here is a 1.75 acre site. The building itself is a little bit under 200,000 square feet. And the artist studios on the ground floor is approximately 9,000 square feet. It's a 4-story building adjacent to San Gabriel Boulevard and 5 stories adjacent to Commercial Avenue and Gladys, with 50 surface parking spaces. And again, the journey of this project itself in 2020 with the Planning Commission, then following in November of 2020 with the City Council. And this is a self-storage building, again with the artist studio on the ground floor. Then design review, just about a week after the City Council approval, and then back again to City Council, and then to City Council for final approval. So it went through a series of public hearing, both in preview and in final presentation, and then final approval from the Design Review Commission in March of 2021. And so as mentioned, the project did obtain a plan development overlay approval from the City Council. Also, the project merges 11 existing parcels. And then the precise plan of design for the design of the building was brought before the Design Review Commission and obtained approval. And the master sign program is not a part of this review. So standard of large-scale projects is conditioned upon the review of the architectural style of the building, that public art and the master sign program will come back to the commission for review. And here we are this evening for the public art component of the project. So here we are really quick. Again, staff is just going to go through these images as the applicant team has provided a very detailed presentation. This is just an elevation of the storage project itself, west elevation. And here is a rendering of the front. Again, the brick building at the corner remained, and the project wraps around that corner property. And this is the public art that will be presented this evening. Again, staff is not going to go too much into this. But the recommendation from the staff this evening is to adopt the attached resolution of the Design Review Commission of the City of San Gabriel, approving planning case number MSP 23-002 for the public art program. It is a very considerate proposal for this project. This concludes staff's presentation, and with that, the applicant team is available this evening to present their design.
Thank you. Now we go to clarifying questions from staff, from the commission to staff. Commissioner Tu, do you have any clarifying questions?
No, I don't have clarified question. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
The only question I have, as this has gone back and forth through all the commissions, were there any public comments made during this process? And if there were some, were they addressed?
So again, the building design has gone through the public hearing process from 2020 to 2021. What is before the commission this evening is the public art proposal, which is what is shown, photo simulation here on the slide, and no public comments were received for this application.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Sela?
I have one question. There's a comment at the bottom of the slide there that says placeholder exact images will change. When those images are finalized, are they coming back to us for review, or?
Yeah, so at the time when this was submitted to staff, it was a work in progress, but staff did talk about it with the applicant team, and I believe this evening and what will be presented will be the final design for the commission to review.
Perfect, thank you.
And my only question, I see we have material boards with 2 different finishes for the stainless steel mountain light art. So that's something we need to vote on tonight?
Yes, and that would be clarified by the applicant team.
Okay, all right. So with that, any other questions, comments? No? All right. The applicant, please step forward.
Oh, one moment.
Good evening, honorable commissioners. So I will start. We do have final images to present to you tonight, but it's really good to see you in person. The last time we were before you was in 2021 when everything was purely virtual, almost like a teleconference format. So it's really nice to be able to see you in person tonight. And we really appreciate you scheduling the special meeting and having the flexibility to do that. That's something our team really appreciates. My name is Shane Swerdlow, and I'm a land use consultant at Craig Lawson and Company. And I'm representing the owner and applicant for tonight's project in this public art program, 1784 Holdings LLC, which is affiliated with San Gabriel Self-Storage Partners LLC. We're really excited to present this public art program to you, which celebrates San Gabriel through art in a fun and meaningful way. So as you know, and as Sam mentioned, this project site is bounded by San Gabriel Boulevard, Commercial Avenue, and Gladys Avenue, at a location that transitions from a commercial boulevard to an industrial district. And the project is now substantially under construction. Our team's goal is to make this a self-storage project like no other. And one way we're doing this is through an expressive architectural design, which has largely been informed by the thoughtful input we received from your commission. In addition, we are proud to include 2 stories of artist and maker studios along San Gabriel Boulevard, which will serve as a hub for the San Gabriel Valley artist community with workspaces, galleries, and robust programming. Our proposed public art program that's before you tonight will help make this entire property a campus for creativity in the arts, with the public art component along San Gabriel Boulevard, which is shown in blue in this image, and additional art incorporated in perforated image walls on both sides of the project's loading area, which are shown in purple. Sam ran through this. It shows the locations of the public art component along San Gabriel Boulevard, as well as the perforated image walls. The goals for this program include using art as a way to activate the project site, connect the project with the surrounding neighborhood, enhance the overall sense of place, celebrate San Gabriel's diversity, natural history, and culture, and create a sense of destination that is cherished by those using and passing by the building. The applicant has worked very hard to ensure that the development of this public art program is an inclusive process that incorporates the perspectives of diverse San Gabriel community members. To manage this process, the applicant engaged Robin Moore, who brings over 30 years of art consulting and curatorial expertise. Robin worked closely with 1784 to identify goals for the art program, qualifications for artists, as well as jurors involved in the selection process, and coordinate business and technical logistics of working with artists. And I apologize that Robin isn't with us tonight. She was here when we were originally scheduled last month. She's based on the East Coast, but has been really active with the project team. For the San Gabriel Boulevard Public Art Program component, Robin in 1784 extended an invitation to 5 diverse artists with experience designing prominent public art pieces throughout the San Gabriel Valley and LA area, all of whom were provided an opportunity to submit a design proposal in exchange for an honorarium. For the perforated image walls, an open call for artists was published and 15 artists submitted proposals. An RFP was then published to select a panel of 4 external jurors representing the arts and business communities in San Gabriel, in addition to 3 jurors who were from the project team. So there were a total of 7 jurors. We were thrilled to have 48 talented candidates submit proposals to participate in this art selection process. So there was a lot of interest in the community to be part of the jury to help select these artworks, which we were really excited about. The jurors participated in 2 half-day meetings to select the proposed art pieces and were compensated for their time. So the 3 jurors who were from the project team include Robin Moore, along with Kelly McCone, who serves as Executive Vice President of Real Estate for the owner and applicant 1784 Holdings, and Judith Hartsong, who is the owner and Executive Director of the Artist and Maker Studios. These were the 4 community members who we selected from that pool of 48. So we really wanted a diverse group of community members who represented different constituencies in San Gabriel and different aspects of the arts or other forms of community involvement. So among these 4 jurors, Ana Bagirov is a San Gabriel resident who serves as director of Luna Anaí's Art Gallery. Xochitl Julissa Bermejo is a San Gabriel resident who founded the Women Who Submit literary organization and teaches creative writing. Yoon Nguyen is a San Gabriel resident who works as an artist and curator at the Arroyo Arts Collective, the USC Pacific Asia Museum in Pasadena, and other local institutions. And Michael Wu is a San Gabriel Valley native and Dean Emeritus of Cal Poly Pomona's College of Environmental Design. And he served as an art juror for prominent public works throughout the region, including the future 1871 Chinese Massacre Memorial in Chinatown. So I give a very high-level overview. These are all really interesting, accomplished people, and within the staff report, there's an appendix with our application. You can look up all these individuals. But I think what we were most excited about through the process was finding so many people involved in the arts who live in the city of San Gabriel, with the exception of Michael Wu, who's a San Gabriel Valley native, whom we thought would really add to the jury. But it's really a great group of people. And now I'm happy to introduce the artist for the San Gabriel Boulevard Public Art component, David Schaefer. David is an LA-based artist who works in sculpture, sound, and installation. His practice is influenced by architecture, urban planning, and consumer culture. His work highlights the physical structures of both the built and natural world, considering site-specific qualities, whether physical or ideological. From architecturally scaled works to public installations, his work inhabits hybrid spaces that evoke familiar forms and structures, often drawing inspiration from real-world elements transformed into abstract representations. He's exhibited nationally and internationally and is the recipient of many grants, including the Pollock-Krasner Foundation Award and National Endowment for the Arts. His work, titled Separate United Forms, is permanently installed at the Huntington Memorial Hospital in Pasadena. David is a professor of fine art at Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, and his reflected terrain proposal before us tonight celebrates the majestic view loved by so many in the San Gabriel Valley. So I'll hand it over to David.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Shane, for the introduction. Good evening. Very pleased to be here, and thank you for this opportunity. So this how do I advance? There we go. Go the other way. All right.
Perfect.
Okay. For reflected terrain, I was inspired by the San Gabriel Mountains that I see almost every day as I drive to my studio or to Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, where I teach. I was also inspired by the dramatic views seen from the San Gabriel Boulevard itself. In my research, I took many of my own photos and collected dozens of images of the San Gabriel Mountains online. Reflected terrain is a tracing of a portion of the 70-mile-long mountain range topography. This line was hand-drawn by me and then digitally adapted to the facade of the building to nestle in and across the entire width of the building. I'm excited about the idea of layering an abstraction of the range that can be seen as a drawn line or a path. I felt this not only connected nature to culture, but also to the idea of making. The stainless steel finish offers a dynamic visual activity that would always be changing by reflecting the outside environment and light. Illuminated from behind at night, with architecturally rated LED lighting, the night view would cast a calming glow that silhouettes the sculpture. The difference between the day and night views would be significant. Reflected terrain will be fabricated in sections and attached with, there's another image of the lighting. Reflected terrain will be fabricated in sections and attached with stainless steel rods that lock into the facade, though detachable if any maintenance is ever necessary. I am working with Dyson and Womack in Los Angeles, who are a leading public art consulting firm and fabrication facility that embraces a progressive approach to public art management. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. And I will note that there are two material samples before you. Our preference in the artist is greatly to use the shinier of the two. So there's one that's a bit more muted in its look, and then one that's a bit more shiny. So the one that would be on the right side. All right, and now I'm excited to introduce you to the artist for our perforated image walls, Jay Yan. Jay is a local visual artist who specializes in site-specific art projects that examine how the built environment successfully affects pedestrian space and usage. He is interested in how color, light, and sculpture can affect our relationship with buildings and public spaces. His public art commissions span the United States, and his work has been featured in exhibitions throughout Los Angeles, the United States, Latin America, Asia, and Europe. His art piece being presented tonight is probably the most creative and fun interpretation of self-storage that we've ever seen, and it's a wonderful fit for the self-storage project. So I'm happy to introduce Jay to talk about his work.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Shane. My idea for self-storage comes from kind of the fond memories I have of San Gabriel Boulevard and all the times I just stuffed my face at Papitas, which I'm very sad it's closed now, and all the fond memories of just the city of San Gabriel, because I went to UCLA, and the only way to get great food, in my opinion, is to come over here. So when this opportunity came about, I thought about what kind of artwork is appropriate for a self-storage place. And I was reminded how chipmunks and animals would store their nuts and food in their own cheeks, much similar to how I sometimes store food when I'm eating at a restaurant. So my idea is to create these murals of people from San Gabriel with just blown up cheeks, where it's, I had these residents come in and stuff their cheeks with cotton and inflate their cheeks to kind of really bulge up the self-storageness of their portraits. And these are views from, these will be visible from San Gabriel Boulevard, and the next one is portraits for on Gladys. I always include myself in the work, because I was always made fun of how big my head is, and so this would kind of go hand in hand. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And now I'm happy to introduce Michelle Bach, who serves as the Vice President of Site Planning and Design at 1784 Holdings, and she'll walk us through some of the more technical details of the perforated image walls, which are a really important part of this project. So, hi, Michelle.
Thanks, Shane. Hi, Michelle Bach with 1784 Holdings. So for Jay's panels, we will go into fabrication with them with bunting. So these are a couple examples on the screen here for the past work that bunting has done, where they take an image and they use a laser technology tool that physically punctures the metal screen. So you do have an example of that with the material board of the perforated panel, and then the color that the perforated panel will be is a gray color adjacent to the piece that you have in front of you. Then once the fabrication of the panels are complete, they are attached to the building elevation by 3 structural steel anchors, the top, the middle, and the bottom. They have a structural bracket that is attached to the structural framing on each side of the building. Adjacent to these panels, in the middle, flanked on both sides, are our roll-up right-tuck doors. So again, we worked through the building design review process to integrate the colors of the roll-up doors with the panels as well. So this image does show the panels as dark brown, but for the project before you, they're a darker gray color so that the perforated panels and the roll-up doors all blend together. And they do have glass vision pane windows in them. So this will also help at nighttime when there are any lights in the loading area, will also help reflect through the perforated image panels.
Thanks, Michelle. So as Sam pointed out, we have been through quite a process with this project since 2019, navigating the original entitlements and getting construction started. And I think this has probably been our favorite part of the process, looking at the public art, really having an inclusive process to get to know the community better, engage with the community in the decision-making process, and really arrive at some fun, while profound art pieces that will really celebrate the fact that this is a campus for creativity and culture. So thank you for this opportunity. We're here to answer any questions, and thank you again.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Tu, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank you for put together such a wonderful package. I particularly enjoy you sharing the process of selecting the artists and recruiting all the jurors that it become like really important and really meaningful part of the project. So I do have a question regarding the artwork, the reflective terrain. So look at the image. I having hard time to see how the pieces are structurally attached to the building, because it looks like it appears to be floating in front with certain distance to the building. So it must be secondary steel structure or type of a setup, which is not articulated in the image. I wonder that would have impact to the final result of the art piece. And the second question is actually the selection of the material. It seems like it's highly reflective, and I wonder what is the impact during the daytime, because that is actually the facade is facing to the west. So I was concerned about the glare during the daytime on the artwork. Yeah, this is my 2 questions.
Okay, those are good questions. I might defer to David for some of the technical details on how this is attached. These are the exhibits we have, and so as you can see, there would be anchors that mount that work into the concrete of the building, the concrete masonry unit, And so you would have the piece, you would have this kind of bracket that would attach, and then the building. So that's what's shown in this image. As far as the material, we really think that the shinier version is more expressive and really a beautiful option for the artwork. We do realize that it would have some shine, and there would be probably times of day that there would be sunlight reflecting on the building. It wouldn't be all of the day. And we analyzed the different properties of the material. We know that there are shiny materials that are within the built environment. Even in driving around San Gabriel, some of the newer buildings that have gone up at Del Mar and Valley, the mixed-use buildings, have stainless steel trim. That's pretty common, and we see that throughout the region and more contemporary architecture. And doing some analysis of when glare can really be an issue, it's typically when there's mass quantities, really huge planes of that material. Like if a mid or high-rise building is predominantly clad in a shiny material, whether that be glass or metal. So we've tried to identify an art piece that's just a 6-inch band. It would be generally above head height. The heights would range between 9 feet and 12 feet, 8 inches above head height or above the sidewalk grade. And we've also found that glare issues tend to be most intense when objects have complex geometries with kind of a lot of angles or a lot of curves. In this case, this would be a flat art piece that's mounted parallel with the street. And so the street is a very straight corridor at this location, really along its entirety on San Gabriel Boulevard. So there would be very few instances where cars would be facing it in a direction that would be reflecting a lot of sunlight.
Okay, yeah, understood. So I just wanted to reiterate the supporting structure of the artwork because the spacing between the artwork and the building is appear to be like it looks like a canopy some sort. So the design of that bracket is really important to actually like to make sure the artwork is as beautiful as its design. So yeah, I would like to be able to see a more detailed design about that structure.
Can I clarify what more beyond what's shown in this exhibit?
Because it looks like this detail is a generic details, and is not to the scale of the actual artwork. Because it looks like the artwork from the image itself, it looks like it has like 2-3 feet spacing between the aluminum, not aluminum, the stainless steel piece to the surface of the building. I was wondering what is holding up there.
Yeah, if you could tackle this over here.
Which image are you talking about?
The rendering.
This
Yes,
one?
that's right. So yeah, so the stainless steel pieces, are they attached directly to the wall, or they are floating, or there's a spacing
All right,
between
I'll
the
go back to
building?
the bracket. Until we have precise, kind of get into the actual fabrication, the height of the stainless steel band is 6 inches tall.
Yeah.
And we are estimating that this will depend on some lighting studies, but will probably be, maybe as narrow as 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches, that the bracket would be.
Okay.
But there are a couple of areas where the vertical parts of the building kind of come out. And so it's gonna come out and kind of wrap around that. So when it does come out and wrap around, the distance of the bracket will change to accommodate that curve. But for most, I would say like 80% of the building, the artwork will maintain a consistent distance from the facade of the building. And I'm estimating, around 4 inches.
4 inches, okay.
Around 3 to 4 inches. Kind of in scale, if you think of the height of that vertical is 6 inches, This was just given to me by the fabricator
Oh,
without,
this is the actual dimension then. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's a concept drawing.
Okay.
It's representing the concept of the connections.
okay, so by far, do you know what's the spacing between the bracket?
The spacing between the brackets?
Yes.
Well, it's, the entire width of the building is approximately 150 feet wide, and we're estimating that the sections will probably be in 8 to 10-foot sections. And depending on the location on the building, there would probably be at least, I mean, I'm sort of just estimating now, 4 to 6 brackets for each one, because the stainless steel is going to be 1/8 of an inch thick. It's going to be thicker than the sample. It's going to be twice the thickness. That's a 1/16 of an inch. So the thicker the material, the fewer the brackets.
Okay.
So each section, 8 to 10 feet, I would say there's probably a bracket every
Every 2
3
feet?
feet, maybe, every 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
They won't be visible from the front, and they would only be visible if you walked directly up
the
against the
bottom.
facade and looked
Yeah.
straight up, but that will also be stainless steel. So
Oh,
it's of the same
the
material.
bottom will be covered with stainless steel as well.
Yeah, it's all stainless steel. All of the hardware is stainless steel, so it's corrosion resistant, extremely durable to any kind of weather conditions.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll note that there really won't be many opportunities for pedestrians to stand directly under, because we do have a landscape setback. So it will be difficult for people to view directly underneath it.
Yes, I think that's helpful to understand like the spacing between the stainless steel piece to the building. If it's like 3 to 4 inches, I don't think that's a problem. I just feel like the image, when you look at the image, it
Well,
looks
that
like 2 to
last-
3
The
feet.
last image, I don't know who created that image. I didn't create that last image.
Oh, the rendering at the end?
At the very end?
Oh, yeah, that was created by the design team, but
Okay,
really,
okay.
for review of your artwork, we
I
should look at
see,
those
yeah,
earlier
so
images.
that, I mean, I'm really glad to see that, but that was not an image that I had control
Right, it
over.
looks like the
So
shadow
that
was,
could be a little misleading to
yes,
suggest how far out, because would be a lot closer to the facade of the building.
right. This one, you're casting shadow to the building,
Yeah,
that's why.
So I'll clarify, this image was not designed by David, it was designed by the in-house design team, just to show what the artwork might look like on the building. But for a feel of what David's vision is and what that artwork would look like, the earlier
Go back.
renderings are really what should be the basis of that review.
I mean, all of this will be engineered. Dyson and Momac, as a reputable public art fabrication facility, they have, everything will be engineered and signed off to code and will be engineered. So if we're using 11 gauge stainless steel, 1/8 inch thick at 6 inches, it will be calculated in terms of the weight, loads, and fascia materials. The engineers will determine, how far apart the brackets need to be. But we're estimating for each 8 to 10 foot section, there would probably be maybe four brackets, which are also of the same material, 1/8 inch thick stainless steel. So very, very strong, very structural material, very efficient.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I had the same concern as Commissioner Tu, but so let me ask this question. So if we start way off on the right side of the slide, so if that stainless steel band is held off the building by 4 inches or something, then there's those glass panels are recessed something like 8 inches or a foot or something. So, and then it comes back out, and then
Right.
the brick is set back a foot. So the face of the building is not a flat plane.
Right.
So is the stainless steel art piece also undulating in and out as well
In
as up
those-
and down?
In those two spaces, yes.
Okay,
In those
that
two spaces.
explains a
If
lot.
I had a pointer, I could show you, but for the left side, it's all consistently, the distance is consistent from the facade, and we're estimating that could be, around 4 inches. And then as it approaches the two vertical portions on the far right and then at the very end, the band will curve out. It won't be a right angle, but it will kind of curve out and then attach to the part that protrudes. That will be, again, a 4-inch distance, and then it will curve back to the
Okay,
other
that
part.
explains a lot. And then if you could go to that section of the bracket. again.
Sure.
So this piece on the right that has the triangles and the rectangles, that is the stainless steel piece?
No, that's a section of the concrete.
Okay, and the stainless steel is applied to that?
Yes, that's kind of
this is-
architectural language
This is the
for
architecture.
concrete.
I got it. So this bracket, it's an intermittent bracket. It's only like a
Yes,
few inches
yes.
wide or something? like
Looking
that?
at the bottom image, that gives an idea of the concept, that the bracket would be every 3 or 4 feet, something like that. And then the lighting is the tube in the middle that's held on with separate brackets.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tu, any other clarifying comments and questions?
So the LED is actually a strip, the LED strip that is the light coming from towards to go up?
It's a great question, too. This is the lighting. I've seen samples of it at Dyson and Womack. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's weatherproof, it's heatproof, it's very durable. They've used it in other public projects before, not here in Los Angeles, but in other parts of the US. This rendering was done for the proposal process and doesn't necessarily demonstrate that I am envisioning that the stainless steel would be silhouetted both the top and the bottom, that the light would be distributed evenly behind top and bottom. Here it looks like it kind of peaks out at the top and peaks out the bottom. It might appear like that from the street, but technically or mechanically, the light will be evenly distributed, bouncing off of the facade and off of the back side of the stainless steel, creating a soft glow. That's kind of the concept, is to create a soft glow, to make it look like the stainless steel artwork is kind of floating or hovering off of the facade, and just to kind of evoke like a calm mood.
Okay,
Is
thank
that,
you. Yeah, so I just want to point out, maybe, I don't know exactly, but it seems like the bracket detail might be in the way of a continuous lighting effect.
okay,
because
I
there-
understand that.
Yeah, so that would be something to look at.
The bracket, the width of the bracket would be as minimum as possible. That would be called out by the engineer. And we believe that that is not going to affect the consistency of the lighting. So
Okay.
it would, yeah, I mean, as you see, the light would run through. There's nothing kind of obstructing it. That the vertical part of the stainless steel bracket would just be part of the facade and would maintain consistency. That's my interest. I don't want to see the light broken up like a dotted line or anything like that. So the goal is to make it look consistent. So when we get further into the fabrication process, we would of course do in-field tests and things like that to determine that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, I appreciate the questions, though. Thank you.
I don't have further question. Oh, one more is about that, the second artwork. It will be fabricated in a smaller panel and then put together to be like the final size of the panel, right?
That's correct.
So do you know what is the size of the module panel?
Michelle, if you, I'm sorry? Okay, they're 4 by 10.
4 by 10?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is pretty big. So is the final panel, what is the size of the complete artwork?
29 feet wide
Thank you. That put into the scale, yes. Thank you. Yeah, this is a really big. It's like a building facade, yeah. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
I'm just, so the blue lighting, would that reflect both up and down, or would that be mitigated downward because of the panel you guys are planning to put down? So it would only be upwards to the back?
David can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it would illuminate in both directions, is that right?
Let me come back up here.
Okay.
Could you repeat the question, please?
If the illumination of the panel, would it illuminate only up or both directions, up and down?
It's up and down.
Okay.
The-
You were mentioning about the obstruction of the light as the light beam goes through the panel. Yep, there. If you look at the bottom picture, the brackets, then that would cut off the light partially, or is there a way you're going to mitigate that? Because you were saying that you didn't want any break.
We're assuming that it will not be noticeable, but if we find, I guess if we find that it is from doing mock-ups and field studies, then the bracket, you know, we might, I don't know, it might be out of a perforated material, or
I see. Just because it may give the sensation like a light bulb went off. You know, if there's a
the
dark
bracket
spot.
would probably only need to be about maybe 2 inches wide.
I see.
Because it's 1/8 inch stainless steel. So it's hard to say until we do the lighting studies with an actual piece and determine if the bracket is blocking any of the light and creates any kind of visual disturbance. Then maybe the bottom part of the bracket would be maybe out of a perforated material that would allow the light to come through more evenly. But the fabricator, Chris Dyson, didn't anticipate that was going to be an issue. It's not what I want. I don't want it to be broken up. So I would just kind of assure all of you that we would nuance the design and the engineering to make the lighting as consistent as possible.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah, thank you for your question, though. I
Thank you,
appreciate
David.
it. Yeah.
I have a suggestion. What if the bracket were turned 90 degrees, so the very thin piece of the bracket is pointing up and down? Maybe the light goes through a hole in the bracket?
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll pass it on to the fabricator.
Anything else, Commissioner Lopez?
No, I was wondering about the panels there. They seem awfully big. The renderings, 30 feet, you said, by 20?
So this would be for the site to the perforated image walls?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, it was 20 by 29?
The panel's width varies. The largest width is 29. The smallest width is 26, 23, and they're 20 foot high.
30 foot. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Vice Chair Sela?
Yeah. First, yeah, I agree with Commissioner Tu bringing up the issue with the structural support. You know, we often see public artwork in general where the structural supports distract from or even sometimes overwhelm the anticipated art because it wasn't fully taken into account from the very beginning. Sometimes the end product is not what the artist intended. But can you go to the slide of the night view?
Yes.
Yeah, this one. First off, thank you for proposing contemporary art. I really appreciate it. It's very appropriate for this site. It's not always the best opportunity for some of our projects to get contemporary art projects. It's very, very fitting for this specific one, so
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. I do have a question about these artist spaces that are behind the artwork here, because if you look at this you look at this view from the street, you're not going to look at only the art. You're going to look at, the fake displays on the 3rd and 4th floor. We all know those doors aren't real. And then the artist space behind them, is that going to be vision glass? Is it going to be?
Yes, so everything that you see at the first 2 floors is vision glass.
Okay.
So there will be a lot of art activity happening when you look in them.
Right. So I guess the idea is that whatever those artists intend to display in their studios is going to become part of this interactive art proposal.
Yeah, and I mean, that's always been our goal since the beginning, is to have an engaging streetscape along San Gabriel Boulevard. And there will be, in most of the spaces that you see along the 1st and 2nd floor, these will be studios where artists are working and producing art. It's at the 1st floor that there would be a gallery space at the entrance.
Yeah, so again, I like the art. It's going to be interesting to see how it actually looks when the tenants are in there and architectural landscape lighting in front, when everything kind of comes together, because this image right now just shows you the art and how it's intended to be illuminated, and it's not really accurately reflecting anything else behind it, in front of it. Yeah, so it's not going to look like this. But it will be exciting what what it's going to look like.
We're excited, yeah. I mean, yeah, the purpose of this image is really to call attention to the art and see that. But, I mean, honestly, there's going to be a lot going on the site, and I think that's what's going to be so exciting about it. And yes, this is going to be in the context of many different things happening, a lot of artistic activity inside. But that eclecticism is something that we wanted to celebrate. We really strongly believe this is going to look good, even with busyness happening inside. And that was a big focus too, in selecting 2 different art pieces that complement each other, but we didn't want to go with like the same consistent theme. We had that option to consider, but we want this to be a mix of eclectic artwork, and that's going to be happening inside and outside.
Are there going to be restrictions on what hours those artist lofts, artist studios can be open? Or?
Yeah, I believe that's part of our conditions of approval. I don't remember the closing time, but that was part of the conditions.
And as far as the other piece inside with the faces and the storing food in their mouths, I find it amusing. Yeah, I would not have minded seeing an actual squirrel as one of the images, but I think it's great. Thank you. That's all I have.
We are looking for ways for the public to be able to understand the story behind the artwork, like such as through plaques that would have the information. So yeah, I agree that the squirrel is humorous.
Great, thank you. I'd like to just kind of make one comment with my experience. Usually what's shown is a concept, and the actual art looks so much better than what's shown on the diagrams. It's rare that it's the opposite, but I'm pretty excited about these two different art forms, and I think I have a basic question, because we live in an urban environment. There's graffiti, 9 to 12 feet. That would be a little tough to scratch. But there's graffiti on freeway overpass signs, and, above the freeway. And I don't know, with both of these art pieces, what the plan is if they're marred by graffiti.
Yeah, it's definitely on our radar. I will say that the risk of graffiti is probably equal no matter what the art is, unfortunately. And so for the building as a whole and for the artwork, there's a commitment to keeping it free of graffiti. There will be an on-site manager who will walk the property. So graffiti is part of the overall operations plan to make sure that if it happens, that we're able to address it quickly and remove it.
So I probably on the stainless steel, I mean, you could possibly buff it out, but I mean, you're going to ruin the finish, especially if you're going with the shinier. And I understand we're supposed to select the which type of finish. So I think just kind of sitting here and knowing it's going to be more horizontal, and the vertical plane won't be that thick at all. for what I understand you're trying to do as an artist with the reflection of the light above and below, the shinier surface for me would do that. And I've been playing with this, moving it to catch the light above, and the shinier, the smoother mirrored finish definitely reflects the light better. And I want to see if my other commissioners agree on that, if that's something that you'd like to see, the shinier. You want to see that?
I looked at that as well, and I like the shinier as well.
Well, yeah, but they still say we need to select, so.
Would there be a mock-up to be made before the decision is made for the material?
I will say ideally we would like the decision tonight, just to be able to remain on track with plan check. So if there's a certain condition of approval you might want to assign to navigate that perhaps with review of the city attorney before the permit is issued, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay, so that would be this body's decision to make, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then on the perforated metal, how do you foresee dealing with any type of graffiti on the perforated metal? Would you spray something on it, or would it have a waxy film that you can just, you know, pressure hose off and then reapply?
I'd have to clarify the finish and the ability to clean. I'm going to defer to Michelle on that.
Yes, the metal panel by bunting is powder coated surface, and it is treated with an anti-graffiti coating on it already, just like our building is. So ideally,
Just with a
wiping
cleaner
it
type
off,
of,
yeah.
with the anti-graffiti, you just use a cleaner to wipe it
Because we
down.
want to preserve the color in the metal as well, so.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right. Are there any other clarifying questions for, yes?
I have a question. Now, we're speaking of displaying artwork through the windows, correct? Am I understanding correctly?
For the art galleries, really what will be in the windows are office spaces where artists will be producing work. Some
No,
may,
I understand
yeah.
what you can see through, right?
You can see through. It would look like an office space.
Does that fall under some kind of signage thing for the city or something? It could be considered that?
No, not by definition. Essentially, whatever is going to be within the office space on the other side of the glass would be movable, temporary. It's not fixed to the glass like window signage or anything to that respect. And I believe when the Design Review Commission reviewed the building and the glass for the building, that was something that was considered. Nothing is to be directly on the glass itself. It's just whatever may be a display or can be viewed from inside the office.
Okay. I was just wondering because, you know, theoretically, you don't have to glue it to the glass, but you can create even electronic banner or something. What is art to you may not necessarily be art to somebody else. You know? So it could be considered signage.
And I will say our vision thus far has not been to treat those windows as an art exhibit space. It's really more like any other office space.
Just watching the activity going.
Exactly. The display area will be an internal gallery when you first enter. So there will be walls, like multiple walls. It would be a room like this. But again, the purpose of these windows is to provide natural light for the workspaces. So it'll be more seeing the activity, not necessarily having
I can
artwork.
see that,
Yeah.
but I can also see it turning the other way. You know, I'd like to, not to mitigate something like that before it even happens. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to also congratulate the applicant for a very complete packet here. The artist statement issues, I mean, just describing background, history, your panel. It's very complete, and it's not just you picking your friends. Yeah.
I think we wanted this to be
Artists.
inclusive, so thank you for acknowledging that.
It makes a difference, and it, when you're looking at community art, getting members of the community to select the artist and work based upon the request for you do a request for qualifications, it makes a big difference. But I was definitely impressed with all the work that you put in, the effort on that, so thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to our team who's here and watching on YouTube tonight. It was a team effort. Everybody worked really hard, so thank you.
Great. Thank you. Anything else?
I do have a couple more questions about the self-storage artwork.
Mhm.
So I do see there's a detail provided in the package with LED lighting detail. Would that artwork would be illuminated at night?
I believe the only LED detail we would have would be for the reflected terrain, which is the San Gabriel Boulevard artwork. Are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm seeing like a diagram, color diagram. Yeah, this one is different from the other.
Oh, so thank you for noticing that. That's a simplified version of what you're seeing right now on this slide. When we submitted our original packet, what you're looking at was based on the San Gabriel Boulevard artwork, and we've now updated that with this more detailed version.
Oh, okay, because it's piled up with the other artwork, so I was wondering if that's the case. Okay.
Yeah, apologies for any confusion. There won't be any lighting detail directly behind the perforated image walls. However, that space will be lit from within, so at nighttime you would be able to see the lighting from within that space permeate through the artwork.
Right, that makes sense. And the second question is, are those images present tonight are the final images?
These are the final images, yes.
Okay, because some of the image looks more like chipmunk look than the other. So I was wondering, because if you look at the second image on this screen, it is less associated with the chipmunk. So I was wondering what's the criteria for picking those images?
Jay, I'll let Jay answer that.
I think it's a really interesting idea. It's just like how to really resonate with
actually,
the
I mean,
viewers.
everybody's cheeks are kind of really stuffed. It's really just the angle in terms of perception. I did the front ones where the portraits were slightly turned, and then these back ones were more facing forward so that there would be more dynamicness between the front images and the back images. I mean, my face is pretty big, and so if I do stuff my cheeks, you can't really see a lot of bulge, unfortunately.
So you would be having like a storyboard by the artwork to tell the story?
Yeah, we're gonna have a plaque. Maybe we'll do a little image of the chipmunk on the plaque to kind of convey the idea, the
Yeah,
concept.
that would be great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No public comment at this time, Madam Chair.
No comments.
The bracket for the screen mount on San Gabriel Boulevard, and looking at making sure that the light can be seen from above and below as per the artist's concept, and possibly doing things to turn the bracket 90 degrees so you have less material blocking that light, but it will be up to the artist and their engineer But I think that's one of the points that has been brought up. Am I missing anything on the main points? Okay. So with that, it's time for us to deliberate, and then if we so choose to make a motion and approve the project, or come back with conditions. Commissioner Tu, I'll start with you.
I think we are, I mean, I am ready to approve the project, yeah. I just wonder, what is would that be some sort of a mock-up, or is that would be like internal process for the applicant to produce the mock-up and make the final decision how the artwork will be installed, or would that be presented to this body or the city architect after this?
I'll let Sam answer that.
So what staff can do is during the building plan check process for the project, it can be routed to the city architect to confirm the mounting details, the spacing, and also the rotation of the brackets. As to a mock-up of the finish is the question, whether something can be installed. Is the idea to gauge the reflectiveness of the finish? Is that maybe the concern, or can there be a broader condition of approval where if it may create some potential hazard, that then the second finish is selected? What is the thought of the commission?
I'd like to, since we're talking about 1/8 of an inch, correct? So 1/8 of an inch, you're going to get that reflection most on the base and going up. And with it being 4 inches from the wall, I think if the city engineer has an issue with the reflectiveness on the 1/8 of an inch, or on a 4-foot, 4-inch thick, wide, but you're going to have 1/8 of an inch going this way. That's not going to. It'll be less than your flashlight on your cell phone. That's what I'm imagining. I mean, it's less. You're going to have less light. The width is going to be less. But I think if it's, I am assuming the city engineer is going to review this as well, right?
As a potential condition of approval, and the applicant team would have to agree to it, that if the commission would like to add a condition of approval where a mock-up is installed on the building in the meantime, and based on that mock-up, if there is a hazard following the mock-up, that then the alternative would be the second material. But the applicant team would have to respond to that as an added condition of approval.
Yes.
As I understand it, the concern is the reflectiveness from the 4-inch piece of metal going through the facade of the building, correct? I don't know, maybe it could be mitigated by just altering the angle just a little tiny bit so that when the sun hits it, the reflection falls to the ground. Is that what we're talking about?
It's basically like this. So your 4 inches is this, and you have 1/8 of an inch that's going to be reflecting the light out to San Gabriel Boulevard.
No,
the
no, no.
four.
The other way.
It's the
It's
other way.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
sorry.
that, yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, so when the sun hits it, I think the concern is that when the sun hits it, it will create, like if you're flashing, you're holding a mirror.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Could that be mitigated? And I don't know by, if let's say it's a 90-degree angle to the ground, could it be just tilted a few degrees so that when the sun does hit it, it just reflects down, but does not lose the appeal of the of the art that we're talking about. I'm just saying so that we don't go through mock-ups and contingencies and things of that sort.
So it's exactly what this image.
Just trying to save, you know.
So, yeah, I think I don't think that the mock-up needs to be curvy and, you know, go through all the fabrication, but I think at least some type of mock-up so the city engineer can review, we can be informed of the mock-up being out there. Reopen the public hearing. Okay. I can reopen the public hearing so we can hear from the applicant on this. So I will reopen the public hearing at 8:01, and then see the applicants coming forward. Yes.
So to recap, it sounds like we're talking about two different issues then. One is the connection detail and ensuring that there's continuous light, and the other is about the finish and doing a mock-up of that finish, correct? Okay.
Yes.
We were talking about the construction timeline, with the building really set to be open, I think, as early as July. We don't necessarily think there's going to be time for a mock-up in that interim period. So we would prefer to opt for an option where we wouldn't have to do the mock-up. I think that the details are something we would be happy to work through with the city architect in terms of the connection.
So, and I think what they did at Disney Concert Hall is that it was more reflective, and they put a coating on it to make it less reflective, to deal with that reflection, because I think some of the residential units were getting too much heat from Disney Concert Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're looking for approval tonight, then I would look to the fellow commissioners. I think the more conservative approach would then be going for the 3,000 grit sand Scotch Brite white dry finish,
Mm-hmm.
less reflective. I mean, if they're going to try to meet this tight timeline.
Can we hear from the artist?
Yes, they're discussing stuff right now.
So my concern is exactly like this image shows. So when you
It will
drive
be
by-
less reflective.
Yeah, so I don't know how this image is generated, so if it's really how it would be after it's built, then it might cause some.
I will just note that Disney Concert Hall was dealing with a very huge plane of
Yes,
reflective
yes.
material. And we're
It's
talking about 6
different
inches.
scale,
Yeah.
altogether.
Mhm.
But if people are concerned regarding reflectiveness and you're trying to expedite,
Mhm.
I'm trying to see how to move this motion going forward so you can try to move forward.
Mhm.
One thing I could say is that it's not a continuous line, and so because the irregular aspect of the terrain,
Oh, yeah,
the sun would
microphone.
not, the sun would not be reflecting across a consistent horizontality. It would, if it reflects, it's only gonna, I feel like it's only gonna hit like one, depending on the height of the sun as it kind of lowers, it's gonna hit one part and then maybe another part and then another part. It's not gonna hit the whole thing at once. It's sort of my instinct about it. So it's not gonna be something that the sun would hit and then all of a sudden it's just this bright band because it's irregular. So it might hit a little spot here and then hit a spot here and then hit a spot here for a few moments. But that's could also be really beautiful at the same time and kind of bring a kind of interesting dynamic quality to the work in that it's kind of capturing the sun or the light, and it's moving, it's kinetic in that way. I think tilting it down or one way down it's going to put it more into the eye level, and I think the fact that it's parallel and it's 9 to 12 feet above eye level and above kind of road level, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to predict that.
Just kind of hearing the conversation, there's not a street that goes into this project. There's,
Commercial would be
it's not.
perpendicular to, not
It's
directly,
not-
right,
it-
not
it- it's-
intersecting.
There's no street directly, so you will not have an issue with the car facing it. the way-
Oncoming
the way we are
traffic.
Looking at this project, you would have cars driving by it on both sides, and that's probably the highest traffic is going to be from that, and you'll have some people walking up and down. We don't have as many pedestrians as you show here on that stretch, but you know, maybe someday there will be, but even then, that angle will be not quite there. So maybe we're trying to solve a problem that isn't necessarily a problem.
And
I agree.
If I could note too, the shiny metals, like chrome is very common in vehicles. So like
Yes.
grills, bumpers, wheels, like when you're driving, that's probably there's a more likelihood to see that.
And
So.
we've all driven with someone's rear view mirror catching the light and going into our car, right? And sunglasses and visors, and there's other things that we do to mitigate that, or we'll move our head to try to mitigate that light. Is there anything else you'd like to say? So I can, is there anything else you'd like to say so I can close the public hearing?
I appreciate all the questions and concerns. As somebody that's has executed numerous public art projects in New York and California and other places, I appreciate the concerns, and it's certainly in my interest. I want everyone to be happy with the project and not to kind of cause problems for the community or anybody using the space around it. I think without detailed animation studies, reflective light studies, and shade studies, or without putting a section up on the building itself and watching it throughout the course of a day, it's kind of an unknown until it's installed. But I do feel, and Robin did a lot of research on this as well, and that's part of what Shane was kind of sharing with you, in that it is 9 to 12 feet above pedestrian height and most traffic on the street, and that it's not a continuous straight line, you know, like trim. It's not like a piece of stainless steel trim where the light would hit the whole band at one time. It's going to catch little bits and pieces, is kind of what I'm envisioning. But I understand the hesitation on wanting to give full approval for it. But I personally don't think it's going to be a dramatic issue. There will be some reflectivity, but I don't anticipate it causing, severe problems like with the Frank area, because those were concave and
Yes.
convex surfaces,
And
which
huge surfaces, yeah.
magnified the light, the sunlight. So that's.
Yeah, so we think this is a scale that again, thinking about just the typical reflective surfaces in the built environment really isn't dramatically different and should be a very minor band.
Okay. Any other questions for them?
My only question is, well, not my only, but I think as far as what I've heard, the consensus is that we all like the shinier piece of metal. Um, let's just nightmare scenario. There is an issue once the project is done. Is there an open? It's 300 grit sandpaper. Is there an openness to then go back and sand everything down to make it just duller? I mean,
I think if it's an issue of safety, at that point, the city engineer would require something. But I think it's the artist's goal
that's what
and
I'm
the
saying. So
team's
that would
goal
be like the-
not to have
like
that
the
at
kind
all.
of fix for that
Correct.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
You know, that the city engineer may suggest at one point or something, if that were an issue.
You know,
It would probably be removed and taken back to a fabrication facility so that the consistency could be guaranteed, because if it's done on site, it would be using a handheld machine, and it would be very difficult to maintain consistency.
Correct, yes.
Whereas in the fabrication facility, you would probably be putting the material through a sander itself versus putting the machine onto the material. So it would probably just need to be removed and taken back to the facility. Yeah, that's what I would imagine.
anything else before I close the public hearing again?
No, thank you again for this opportunity.
I'd like to just say something. We have reviewed a few different public art proposals since I've been here on the commission for the last 6 or 8 years. I think this team of artists with the public art consultant, they're probably the most qualified artists that we have seen come forward. And each art piece is going to be unique, and that's part of the art. And it's going to be pushed beyond something that we've seen, but we have to figure out, is the leap of faith in the team and in the art that's being proposed, if it's something that we want to see in our city here in San Gabriel. So saying that, I will start with you, Commissioner Chu, for our deliberation on this.
Yes, I do agree with Chair Romo. From what I learned and I heard from the team, I do have faith in them to execute the artwork to beyond what we've seen tonight. Even there's an issue, and there would be solutions. So with their qualification and then dedication, I believe they can get it done. So I would approve the project.
And are you okay with the more reflective
Yes,
panel?
yes.
All right, thank you.
I'm good with the reflective, and I think one of the nuances for the approval was just to make sure that the lining is even top and bottom, correct? I do want to commend you. Probably unbeknownst to you, one of my pet peeves is people walking in and not looking at what I'm looking here as to what they're thinking they're going to be doing, and I've voiced that concern before. But I do commend you, and I think it's a very talented project. I agree with that, and that is all my comment. I like to see that in St. Gabriel.
Vice Chair Salo?
I'm ready to approve the project as proposed. Sometimes we get some very pretty sunsets in San Gabriel, and I would not mind seeing it reflected in this art piece. So I just hope that the architectural team, when they do their final lighting, keeps the artwork in mind.
So I also want to reiterate my comment earlier. I think both artists have shown very innovative, unique designs to enhance this project. And I think the metal band in front has a nice, it's subtle but bold. And I think that's nice. That it's something that could be classic and be modern all at the same time. And I think that's something nice. And I really like the playfulness of the self-storage theme, to come up with something like that and put people's faces that are in the community. And living in this community, we see different faces, male, female, Asian, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, and it's just, it's a nice blend, and it's nice to see that you have those people shown in your artwork. And seeing that I have squirrels that visit my house every day, I enjoy watching them, with their cute little hands and stuffing stuff in their face. But I think both pieces are very appropriate for this site. With that, is there a motion from one of my commissioners?
I motion to approve the project. Yeah, just fine. Yeah.
A second?
All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner 2,
Yes.
Chair Romo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chang is absent, so 4 Ayes.
Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing this. Okay, we will have a 5-minute break, and we will come back at 8:22. Thank you. We are back from our break, and we're going to start working, presenting item C, 627 Pasqual Avenue, planning case number SPR 23122, site plan review. We have Christine to do the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. This item is for the request for approval of SPR 2304. Oh, we're doing Pasqual? Oh, I think the Chair introduced 443 North. Oh, we'll switch over. the- Pasqual is next on the agenda. Okay, thank you. The item before you tonight is a request for the approval of SPR 23-122 for a first and second story addition to an existing single-story, single-family residence located at 627 Pasqual Avenue. The project site is located on the west side of Pasqual Avenue between Domingo Drive to the north and Coolidge Drive to the south. The site is bordered by single-family residences in all directions in the same R1 zone, and the property is currently improved with a 1,531 square foot one-story home with a detached garage at the rear. The project site is zoned R1 for single-family residence and has a general plan land use designation of low-density residential. The proposed project complies with all of the R1 development standards in terms of lot coverage, floor area ratio, building height, setbacks, and parking. This is an image of the proposed front elevation. The project proposes a total addition of 559 square feet, 63 square feet on the first floor, and 496 square feet for the new second story. The proposed design was reviewed by planning staff as well as the city architect for compliance with the zoning code and the single-family residential design guidelines. And the project maintains the existing post-war minimal traditional style of the home with a reconfiguration of the entry porch area and a new second-story pop-up with a master suite. The second story provides adequate articulation along all sides and side yard setbacks to help minimize the privacy impacts to the neighboring residences. The San Gabriel Municipal Code requires a comparison of one-story versus two-story homes within a 300-foot radius of the project site. There are a total of 35 properties and currently 7 two-story structures in this neighborhood, as you can see in the image on the screen. The general plan land use designation for the site is low-density residential, which allows for single-family residential development in the R1 zone, and the proposed project would meet housing goal 10.3 of the general plan. The project was reviewed for compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. The proposed project is exempt per guideline 15301, which is a Class 1 exemption for an existing site. The public notice for this project was provided in the following ways. It was mailed to all property owners and tenants within a 300-foot radius. The notice was posted at the project site, and agendas were posted at City Hall, the post office, and the public library, and it was also advertised in the San Gabriel Sun on March 7th, 2024. Staff recommends that the Design Review Commission adopt a resolution approving planning case number SPR 23-122 at 627 Pasqual Avenue to construct a first and second story addition to the existing one-story single-family residence, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. That concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you so much. This time we'll go see if our commissioners have any clarifying comments for staff.
Oh, no, I don't have a question for staff. Thank you.
Okay,
No questions, thank you.
great.
No questions for staff, thank you.
Just have a question for our architect. Ron, do you have any further comments on this project?
No, Madam Chair, I have reviewed this project 3 times, and it's come a long way. So I think it's good.
Okay, thank you.
applicant is present tonight. Did you want to come up?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I want to thank you for this opportunity. Working on the Eisenhower Memorial in Washington, D.C. for 12 years of my life, I want to commend you for the amazing speed at which you reviewed the previous project, and I want to commend them for their thoroughness. Very impressive. Following that up with a second-story addition doesn't seem fair, but I want to just give you a paragraph about what the intent is, and I'm also here to answer any questions. My name is Karabachian. I'm the architect for this project, located at 627 Pasqual Avenue. The clients are a pleasant couple residing in the existing 3-bedroom single-family home. They have 3 kids, and as the kids are growing into the teen years, the owners would like to expand to add a second-story bedroom above. This is in an effort to provide that extra bedroom needed and to preserve some of the backyard space. As you can see, and I'm sure you usually see, the challenge with the second-story addition is to not unravel too much of the first floor and still meet the guidelines of the planning requirements. We respectfully ask that you provide the approval, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this project at this time?
No public comment at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It is now 8:28, and the time for public comment on this item is now closed. And we're going to start our deliberation here amongst the commissioners. I'll start with Commissioner 2.
Yes, I do have a question for the applicant. I noticed that the master bedroom on the second floor, it does have a lot of windows. Is there any consideration about like privacy?
The intent of the larger windows is to capture the views towards the mountains, the northern side. As far as privacy, the second floor is set back quite a bit from the first floor. So as far as the pedestrian view, you're really, in a view as a full true elevation, it does look like someone can look into that. But consider that the second floor addition is further set back. So you're really going to catch a glimpse of the ceiling up there, if that. It's also screened with trees. So there's no real issue from the pedestrian side. And on the neighboring side, there's really nothing there as far as just the views towards the mountains.
Okay, so the mountain view is at the side that with 4 windows.
Correct. The right side of what you're looking at right now.
All right, so yeah, I think that's my. The other question I have is also in the master bathroom, on these windows in front of the sink, is not a really typical way of placing windows.
The intent there is to, I'm not sure if you have a floor plan in front of you, but the intent there is that as you go to the second floor and you're walking from the master bedroom towards the bathroom, we wanted something at the end of that aisle to look out or to draw you towards the light, because that entrance to that, the primary bathroom will not have a door. It's an open walkway. So we wanted to end it with a view out of the structure as opposed to a mirror.
Okay, I see. So we just need to find a creative way to place a mirror for the vanity.
Given it's a double sink, one will have a mirror, the other one will have a window. I suppose the owners can argue on who's going to look at themselves in the morning, but this was done in conjunction with the owner's wish to have something at the end of the walkway as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
No questions, thank you.
Vice Chair Salo?
No questions for the applicant.
Okay. We're on deliberation, but
Okay. I'll just say that I appreciate that the architect has sensitively maintained the architectural character of the original home. This design is consistent with many projects we've approved in the past, so I'm ready to move forward.
Commissioner Lopez?
I apologize, I guess.
It's okay.
No, I think it's well thought out, and I'm sure our architect has a lot of input with that, and I'm very happy with it.
Great. I also think that it's nice to have an architectural style for a house that has been in the neighborhood enhanced instead of demolished and replaced with another architectural style. And it's a little bit more respectful to the neighborhood. I think for Commissioner Tu's comment on the windows, I think we're sharing plans right now. But what I'd like to just to make sure is that the window is high enough so that people outside cannot see, someone who may be offended, by the view. So by putting the window a little higher above the sink, you can get that light coming in, but you will have some privacy. Thank you, Ron. It is a high window. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I just got that verified. So the window is high enough so no one can get offended, since it is an open bathroom. I have lots of windows in the bathroom off of my master bedroom, and I like that light, and we did things with the type of glass. So it's textured glass. So, all the lower wind panes are all textured glass, so you cannot see anything. But I think that the project is a nice project. And with that, I'd like to see if there can be a motion from one of the commissioners here.
I motion for the approval of the project.
Yeah, I second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tu,
Yes.
Chair Romo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chang is absent, so 4 ayes.
Motion is approved. Thank you very much. We go to our last public hearing of the evening, item D, 443 North San Gabriel Boulevard, planning case number SPR 23-408, site plan review. Christine.
Thank you, Chair Romo. This item is for the request for approval of a new two-story single-family residence with an attached three-car garage, as well as a detached accessory dwelling unit with an attached one-car garage, and it's located at 443 North San Gabriel Boulevard. The project site is located on the west side of North San Gabriel Boulevard between East Roses Road to the north and Santa Ynez Lane to the south. The site is bordered by single-family residences in all directions in the same R1CC zone. The property is currently improved with a 1,198 square foot, one-story home with a detached garage at the rear. The subject property is zoned R1CC for single-family residence country club and has a general plan land use designation of low-density residential. The proposed project complies with all of the R1 development standards in terms of lot coverage, floor area ratio, building height, setbacks, and parking. And these are the renderings for the proposed project. The applicant is proposing to demolish all existing structures on the property to construct a new two-story home with 5 bedrooms and an attached three-car garage. Additionally, a detached ADU with an attached one-car garage is proposed, but is not subject to the commission's approval tonight. The project is designed in a Mediterranean architectural style. The proposed design has been reviewed by the city architect for compliance with the single-family residential design guidelines. The project provides a high level of design details, including the use of brick veneer, eave corbels, precast stone on the wall base, and a Santa Barbara finished stucco. Overall, the proposed two-story design is compatible with the existing neighborhood and would add architectural character to the streetscape. As required by the San Gabriel Municipal Code, the applicant prepared a comparison of one-story versus two-story homes within a 300-foot radius of the project site. There were a total of 33 properties, and 9 of them were two-story structures in the neighborhood. A new second-story addition to this property could be seen as compatible with the surrounding area. As I mentioned, the general plan land use designation for the site is low-density residential, and that allows for single-family residential development in the R1CC zone. And so the proposed project would meet housing goal 10.3 of the general plan. The project was reviewed for compliance with CEQA. The proposed project is exempt per guideline 15303, class 3 for new construction. The public notice for the project was mailed to all property owners and tenants within a 300-foot radius. The notice was posted at the project site, and the agendas were posted at City Hall, Post Office, and the Public Library, and was also advertised in the San Gabriel Sun on March 7th, 2024. With that, staff recommends that the Design Review Commission adopt a resolution approving planning case number SPR 23048 at 443 South San Gabriel Boulevard to allow the construction of a new two-story residence subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Ron, do you have any comments on this project?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first of all, I did review this project 4 times. I think overall the submittal has always been well documented and well presented. The biggest issue that I have had with it, and I let them know that the project may be too monumental and too symmetrical. So they've worked on that quite a lot. The 10-foot first floor plate went down to 9'6" and then went down to 9 feet. So that's a big improvement, and the massing of the front of the building has some asymmetrical elements. So I think they've made a lot of improvements as well. So I think this is a good project.
Thank you. Commissioner Tu, do you have any clarifying questions for staff? Thank you. Commissioner Lopez, clarifying questions for staff?
No questions for staff, thank you.
Vice Chair Salo, any clarifying questions?
No questions for staff, thank you.
I have one question. It's noted that an evergreen elm would be planted in the parkway. I'm assuming that's as per the streets tree master plan?
The project was reviewed by the Public Works Department, and I believe they would also verify that during plan check.
Yeah, only because the evergreen elm is not quite as big as a ficus tree, but it's one of the substantial trees. And I know it's important to have some tree, you want a tree canopy, but I think we have to look at what the trees are. If it's in the street tree master plan, then please go ahead with that. If not, then work with the landscape architect. The other thing that I think I want to be very careful of, Edison has been trimming trees that are near utility lines. So any tree that's mature gets a buzz cut, and sometimes buzz cuts are good for trees, and on most trees, that's not the best thing to do. My neighbor has an oak tree down 3 houses down, and it's kind of topped, and then there's wings out to the side. So just, if you can double check with that, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Yes, Madam Chair, for condition number 19, it does generally address the landscape plan. However, if the commission wants to expand on it a little bit to get confirmation that it's consistent with the master tree plan, and also if a tree is not specified, to work with the landscape architect to identify an appropriate tree.
Thank you very much. I would like to try to make that a condition on this project. All right. Is there anyone here in the general public who would like to speak on this item?
No public comment at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It is now 8:43, and the public comment on this item is now closed. It is our time to deliberate on this project. I will start with Commissioner Tu.
Yeah, so the material selected, it says a stone veneer siding. Is that stone or brick? It looks like brick to me.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Christopher Lowe. I'm the building designer for the project. Regards to the wall veneer, those are brick veneers.
So it is a brick, right?
Yes.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I just feel like the color stone, the color scheme is a little heavier than I would like, because the stucco color and also the roof tile and also the stone, they are, I mean, they are coherent, but it's too close to each other. I feel like the color is a little too heavy. And also the second floor, the massing of the second floor looks a little chunkier, maybe because of the rotunda. Is it rotunda? Yeah. So I was wondering, is that really necessary to have a rotunda at home and really push up the building mass to be kind of like a little overwhelming? Yeah, that's my thought about the design. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you want them to address the massing?
Well, I also heard from city architect that they had improved from the previous design, and it has been 4 runs. So, okay, yeah, I think in that regard, I guess I would be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
No, just a comment that it does seem a little massive. But I'm concerned about that.
Vice Chair Salo?
No. No additional comments. Thank you.
Okay. I think you hit a couple. I think the colors is something that I do feel that could use a little bit more contrast. And you used the word heavy to describe the project. Could it be because the brick veneer goes to the top of that first level? Do you think if you lowered that brick veneer finish, it would lighten the building and using lighter colors with the darker trim? I'm trying to look at you and at Ron. You guys and Nick, you guys are the pros here.
Well, they have that very interesting detail of the water table at the bottom to separate the brick from the ground. That's a very nice detail. So I think the proportion of the brick to proportion of the brick on the first floor, I think, is good.
Okay.
The color, I understand the comment that maybe the color's dark. Maybe we have to look again at the color material sample board.
Yeah, I do think that maybe a little more contrast that bright up the stucco color would help, because the brick veneer and the roof tile, they are similar in a way. So that right now it's kind of, they all kind of blending
Yes.
in together. I mean, I also, I mean, it's not the responsibility of this body to reveal the interior, but I think the existence of that rotunda is actually because a gigantic staircase in the house, in the center of the house, and that's actually initiated that design. So I would encourage the applicant to look at the scale of the staircase again. Is a really big stairs in a house that is not that big. So that's my perception about the design, how it's put together. So maybe scale down the staircase would help to also scale down the top piece so that it would be a little less massive.
And can we talk about that, since it's an interior, but it affects the massing of the house? I need your guidance.
Of the commission, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
The good news about the rotunda, though, is it's in the middle of the house. It's not at the front of the house. So the
Yes.
front hides the fact that you have this big rotunda.
True though, because I mean, you've never seen this elevation as it is, because it's in perspective. That's right.
I do have a few sheets of perspective view. Can I bring to you? Perspective view of the stair tower.
So, if this project, so after seeing the newest renderings, do you have any further comments, Commissioner Tu?
I guess that helped that if you look at the entire building, the rotunda is actually not that big. I think it's the elevation view that you only focus on the shorter side of the elevation, so proportionally it looks pretty big, but in terms of the entire building, I think it's okay. Yep. Thank you.
I think the outstanding issue is still the color, and kind of as we're talking, and we've mentioned the the brick veneer than the variegated tiles on top and the way they're shown, it just looks a lot of the same. So would the color of the house make a difference, the color of the stucco?
Actually, I have a question for Ron.
Yeah.
So the brick veneer and the stone, the roof tile, I think the way it's rendered, it kind of is what muddies the composition. So my question to Ron is, the actual materials, do you think there's enough contrast between the two? Or is it because the proposed materials are actually very similar in color and texture?
Well, I'm just looking again at the color material exhibit that they've given, and I think Commissioner Tu's comments are well stated. They are pretty close together. So maybe if, for instance, instead of the Monreal color brick, maybe if it was the Ferrara red, there'd be more red in the brick and then more gray brown in the roof. And this Ferrara red, it's not a rich red, it's a muted red. So I don't know if you would like to look.
So maybe we.
Would the stucco color still work that they're proposing, or with all of that? So we're going to have a slightly warmer brick. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Ron?
I'm trying to find their stucco sample, and I'm trying to find their stucco sample, and I'm not finding it.
Okay.
It's not on here. They have the stucco finish, but not the stucco color. It's the Santa Barbara finish, but that's
then
not necessarily the
here?
color.
The color? Tan? Angela's tan?
That's a concrete block.
The stucco color is noted on sheet A 3.2 as Pacific Sand. It's on the elevation sheet. The
And what
color
was-
elevation,
What was the page number again?
A 3.2.
Pacific sand is the
Yes.
color?
It's hard to tell.
Yes.
We probably need to look a little more carefully at it.
It is hard to tell.
Yeah.
All right, can we look at approving this based upon you reviewing the material boards? Yeah. I think we need to see the actual colors, and if we work with you to work with the applicant on finalizing, but we'll change definitely the brick to the Ferrera blend, leave the roof tile, the paint color to be determined based upon the actual samples in consultation with the city architect to finalize the paint color. Okay? I think we got everything with that. So, that being said, is there a motion from one of the commissioners?
Even the brick veneer could be subject to final review before
Okay, thank you,
deciding
thank
specifically
you.
that it would be
So
changed.
we want to see the brick veneer, well, the city architect, under consultation with the city architect, the brick veneer and the paint color, those are the two things that we're looking at. That overall, we're kind of okay, but those are the two things that we're still up in the air about, but we are trusting
Yes.
our consultant here.
Yeah.
All right, motion.
Do they get a chance to respond, or?
I just spoke to your owner. We're willing to work with the city architect regards to the color and materials.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good call,
Then-
Nick.
And I motion to approve this project with the conditions of approval we've discussed here.
Thank you. Second, please.
I second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Two,
Yes.
Chair Romo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chang is absent, so 4 A's and 1 absent. Motion passed.
Thank you so much. Motion passes. I now would like to see if there's comments from our planning manager.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just two quick comments. First being, again, that commission applications are due this Friday, so get those in electronically. They're submitted electronically. And then second, planning staff always tries to provide a little bit of free advertisement for new businesses, and Fairy Donuts opened up in the Mission View Plaza, where there's currently the Banchan chicken and the poke, and their donuts are specialized. There have been questions about whether or not there'll be competition for the existing donut shop on Las Tunas on the north side in the El Pollo Loco Plaza, and also for Paris Baguette. But having gone there and tried some of the donuts myself, they are very specialized, so it's not a duplicate of anything that you may find elsewhere. So that's worth a try just to see, just to visit the plaza. Again, it's one of those, for planning, it's considered, it's very successful. All the tenants seem to be doing very well, and so parking is always a sign of that. So take advantage of the public lot that is off of Allen May and also of street parking. But it is a very busy center, so we're very glad for them.
I will walk there.
Or bike.
I'm gonna drive there.
Let's see, any other comments? Okay. Commissioner comments? Anyone like to make any comments?
No comments.
I'm looking forward to coming to the farmer's market. It's gonna open in April, maybe?
Maybe, tentatively.
Maybe.
Working out the details. As far as all the facilities and making sure that those details are put together, the maintenance, the management of the operations. But the farmer's market itself, yes, absolutely. Just working out the details of how it'll be managed.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at the farmer's market opening. I heard their presentation at City Council. So what they need is to have people go. And the more people go, the more variety of farmer goods we're going to have. We're going to start off small, but we need support. So any of you who can walk, drive, take public transit to the upcoming farmers market, that would be wonderful. All right. It'll be on Saturday mornings when they start, and it'll be at the Park and Ride lot in the Mission District. Okay. We're going to adjourn to next Monday. No? To April. April. So we'll only have one meeting. I was planning on coming here in a week from now. Oh my gosh, we have so many. It's April. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. That makes me so happy. Thank you.